Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot
rod. From UAW 551. We're doing this quick interview with you right now as we record this. We're just a few hours away from finding out where things stand with the contract negotiations between the UAW and the Big Three. So a lot of this may change when you hear this broadcast later. So we'll just kind of put that out there. So we're just kind of putting out right now where things stand. So we got Robert Ketcher with us. George is here. I'm here. So let's just kind of get into it. So Robert, go ahead.
Mr. Tetcher, I got to tell you, and I've been a proponent of this for some time, that the rank and file, the workers of the UAW, took a lot of concessions back in the recession time. Now, you were probably hired after that, but still, those concessions have kept that. They've kept the limit to where you're not getting the benefits that you should. You're not getting anything. You should be way ahead of where you are now. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm wondering what the feeling is at the plant among the workers.
Well, we're hopeful and we're enthusiastic, encouraged about this fight that's taking place. When you look at other locals, laborers, pipe fitters, whatever. I mean, they're still issuing, pensions and COLA and so forth. So it's a fight trying to get some of these things we lost back during the bailout.
Oh, I understand. It's not going to come easy. First, I want to tell you that I really, really do like your new union president, Shawn Fain. I do like this young man.
I do too. I voted for him.
To me, he's a young man. To me, he's a young man. Everybody's young to me. But anyway, I think he's doing a fine job, and I think he's going to hold his ground, and he's for you guys. And it's the rank and file that need to get put back where they belong now. They had this whole big thing with the and extra money, and it never happened. And you know what? We got to get it all back right now.
I totally agree. And I just wanted to add one thing. There was a poll that came out, I believe it was a Gallup poll, and American support for unions is at the highest level since 1969, I believe the poll was. And so every time I'm on the social medias, you're always seeing a lot of supportive comments. And I find it kind of weird, in the last couple days, whether they're bots or not, when you go on them mainstream media posts, there's a lot more negative comments coming towards Fain and everyone else. But we don't feel that way. We feel united.
Oh, and I'm glad for that, because that's what's going to take. Now, the type of strike that they're talking about that could happen, theoretically, we don't know yet, because it hasn't happened yet. It's not 11:59 on Thursday night. It's earlier.
It's at midnight.
Yes, but they're talking about
not necessarily the strike, but at midnight is the deadline.
That's when the contract expires. That's when the contract expires. Yeah. Now, they cannot, if there's no contract, they can have what they call a stand-up strike. If there is a contract in place, they can't have that. But a stand-up strike is where they target one or more of the specific plants, such as the Hegwish or the stamping plant in the Heights, or they target one or more of those specialty plants. Of course,
and no one really knows at this moment.
No, nobody knows. And nobody knows if it's even going to happen. The company may just say, you know what? They have made, look how much money they've spent on research and development for electric vehicles that could have gone back to their workers, that they asked to take a hit back in 2009 or whatever.
They're losing a lot of money on this.
Yeah, and it's crazy, but they made so much money that in that time they spent it all on electric cars. What about taking care of the people that are building your cars tomorrow and the next day? And
exactly. And another point to what you're saying is, and Shawn Fain pointed to this, it's like 20 to 30, 25 to 35% of human labor that it will be removed. It takes less human manpower to make electric vehicles. There's less parts. There's no engine plants. There's no transmission plants. So, as a UAW worker and as trying to, maintain this type of, union and this industry or whatever, to just blindly go into supporting electric vehicles, I kind of find it hypocritical or even just silly, because we're going to shrink in size if we
Well, I
go
tell
this
you,
direction.
I don't foresee that happening right away, because the electric vehicle has got to have an option. The American people are finding out that the electric vehicle does not or is not conducive to them for what their needs are. They've got to
You know
have
what?
a combustion
There's
engine
so
vehicle.
Exactly. And I hope it doesn't go the way of Australia, because if you saw in the news, Australia, the banks in Australia have issued that, by 2025 or 2030, look this up, challenge me, that they're no longer going to issue private loans for internal combustible engines. So I
Yeah,
hope that we don't go down this route of government mandating this type of trying to force this product on us.
Well, you
well,
basically, this is essentially what we've talked about for the last couple months, at
oh
least
yeah,
on
it's
the
been a
show.
hot item.
We talked a little bit a few weeks ago about the Ford CEO. He took his first long trip in an
Yeah.
electric vehicle and was very surprised as how difficult it was,
How long it took.
and
The
things like
weather
that.
affects the mileage. I mean, what happens when your battery goes bad in the cold winter and it doesn't start? So cold, but even hot weather. So Volkswagen got fined for misrepresenting their miles per gallon on their cars. But what
Yes, they
about these
did.
electric vehicle companies? What's going to happen to them when your car doesn't truly get what they're telling you it gets in the
Oh,
mileage?
and
Yeah.
it's not going to. It's too variable. The weather has everything to do with it. The load. What about how much weight you have in the
If
car?
you thought road construction's bad now, and with our old infrastructure, the bridges, roads, I mean, the potholes, these cars weigh 2 to 3 times heavier. And Pritzker, he did an interview, and he was saying that most of these electric plants have a battery plant down the road. But today, he just announced that company, the CCP type company, Goshen in Michigan, they did not end up getting the land deal in Michigan. Pritzker said that he's announced that he's gonna try to work a deal to have them come to Mantina, Illinois, and build
Yeah,
a battery plant here.
yeah,
So
that's
it's
exactly
happening.
what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. And there's to put all your eggs into one basket, all your eggs in the electric basket. Everybody, if you look at the smart car companies, they're delving into hydrogen, and that's
You
an
know what?
internal
Toyota,
combustion engine.
Mr. Toyota, like a Henry Ford, Mr. Toyota of today, he did a speech saying electric vehicles aren't viable, but hybrids and hydrogen, and there's still other routes that they think are more feasible for them as a car company. So you look that up, that too. He did a
Oh
speech
yeah,
on
well,
that. But
Australia.
I'll give Farley a little bit of credit here, because he did say Ford's going to start looking into hybrids. He made a similar comment as Toyota. So
Well,
yeah.
and so we're going to have you on for a whole show here at some point. Have you stop in since
Oh
you're
yeah, you're part of the gang.
Let's remind people. So we're talking to Robert Ketcher. Robert's from UAW 551, literally sitting at the Union Hall right now. We're recording this Thursday night. In a few hours, we find out what's going to happen with the contract
we're still
negotiation.
organizing right now. And, we're taking marching orders from the international, so we're not sure where it's going to go. But there should be an announcement around 10 o'clock, and we'll see where things start happening at midnight, and if this is going to take place immediately, or we're going to give these companies more time. I mean, my look at this, and I hope that most of my union brothers and sisters see this, is these multinational corporations have governments around the world that work with them. China, Russia, Europe, South America.
Absolutely,
You got tax breaks, tax bailout. You got the bailouts and subsidies. Military contracts. I mean, they are well taken care of. And I feel personally, and I think us as a united union, that they can afford to meet our demands. I mean, Fain even said in the speech last night. Yeah, Fain said in the speech last night, they could double the UAW's wages and they'd still be profiting billions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
One other quick one.
Go ahead.
One other quick one. And don't quote me on the exact numbers, but it's GM, Stellantis, and Ford pay their CEOs like 25 million, 21 million, 20 million. It's around those numbers with all of them. You can look it up. Toyota pays their CEO $7 million. And the problem is we don't have tariffs, and we need a little more economic nationalism and take care of us at home, where these foreign companies in China can flood our market with
Oh
no
yeah.
tariff, most favored nation status. But you don't think those countries and those nations are charging us high tariffs for
Big,
American-made vehicles? It's
big.
happening.
15 to 25% in China. So it's the same old, same old. We need
They
to.
can afford it.
I don't look for a real good outlet tonight, a real good outcome tonight. I don't want to poo-poo anything or put a black stamp on it, but they're so far apart, and the company does not want to give the union what they truly deserve. It's just going to have to. It's going to have to come to a real. Those guys are going to be up on that negotiating table, beating each other up.
The administration, the government gave Ford a $9.2 billion subsidy in July. They said it was for accelerating electric vehicles, but even Sean Fain came out the next day and did a press conference and said, this is a negotiation interference. For you to give these companies subsidies, claim it's for electric vehicles, and we're in the midst of contract negotiations. So, and I'm not even poo-pooing the administration. I'm just saying we need to have a hands-off approach and let a private union with a private company come to the table and come to their own agreements that they deem fit for each other.
Okay,
That's America.
I could not say it better myself.
I did. Okay, so I just want to make sure, because my job here is to make sure nobody gets in trouble. So we got Robert Ketcher from UAW 551 joining us. We're recording this Thursday evening. But I want to remind people, just Robert, so this is Robert speaking his own mind. He's not representing anybody.
I'm not representing. Sean Fain didn't give me approval for this. I'm just talking to you guys, and I'm not even attacking. You know what? Like I said, I'm a fourth generation worker at the UAW 551 at Chicago Assembly. And to be honest, I get along with my supervisors. I'm glad. I actually have a little bit of, pride, or a lot of pride actually, knowing that, I went to college at Purdue Calumet. I got my degree, liberal arts, this and that. And it's like, you know what? 4 out of 5 Americans don't use their college degree. And I'm proud and I'm happy to be using my hands and building American-made cars with local Chicago and Northwest Indiana. We're doing this together to help Americans and help our families, help our local communities, and I want to keep it that way. That's all.
Well, you got to make me a promise that if Sean Fain ever comes to the Chicago Assembly plant, you call me. I want to meet him.
Yeah.
I want to meet him.
We're literally right down the street. We'll just run
That
right
guy,
over.
I'm right down Torrance Avenue from him.
We had a training event last week, and he was supposed to come, but he had an important presser somewhere else, so he didn't make it. But they did send other representatives from international, and I'm going to tell you right now, there was hundreds of 551 workers. We were all standing in solidarity, and there was a lot of energy. And so, like I said, it's not that we are like wanting to jump into this battle with these companies. But if they make us do it, and we have to do it to stand up for our families and our wages and a future in this line of work, this is what we need to do.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, though, because we're getting way off topic here. We got to get on the topic at hand a little bit here. I wanted to ask specifically. So again, this is your opinion. So there's been quite a bit of talk about what the union's looking for, what ultimately the end goal here. So again, completely your opinion. What do you think would be a fair contract in your mind? What would you be happy to get?
Being that I'm called a traditional union worker. They have a legacy union worker, which are people who are going to receive the pensions that are no longer in existence. They've created this, and the Ford and these companies and the big three, they use these tactics so that they can try to cut wages and whatnot. But we're fighting to end the tiers. And so I would like to see the tiers ended, 90 days, you get your 90-day trial period, probationary, and then you're in. But, I had to go through years of stair-stepping to a top wage. And so I'd like to see that so that we're all back in this together at, equal work, equal pay. But I would hope that we get pension back. I hope we get a COLA back. Yes, I want to see a raise. We asked, a 40% raise like UPS and the Teamsters, which actually I got to give a shout out to the Teamsters. They announced earlier today, that they plan that if this goes down with this strike, they don't plan on shipping any of these the big three's vehicles, and that they're going to help us in this battle. And so, I'm so happy to see them. We see a lot of different unions across the board in America over the year, the railroad and so forth. This is that time, that it's that season. And so we're hoping for the best, but I'm hoping pensions and COLAs, and we need a reasonable raise. What they're asking with the inflation in this country, but we're seeing them come up. That's the funny thing. As this deadline's nearing, they're making bigger jumps. They're not just doing a couple percentage. They're jumping. What was it? It was 9%, then it's 10%. Now it's 18%. Now it's 20%. So let's meet in the middle. This is negotiations. Sometimes you don't always get what you want, and asking the top, the highest amount of demand. But we need to meet somewhere. And I agree with Fain, and he's the leader, and so we're taking marching orders from Fain right now. But we better, they need to come up with what they think they're going to get. We've been going on this slogan: record profits equals record contracts.
Absolutely.
This whole 4-year contract, they've been reaching record profits. They're making more money now than they've ever made. You've recovered from the bailout. And even with the COVID, and you know what? We've had these shortages from China and so forth and other areas. And so it's like, I'm almost surprised they are making record profits. But you know what? We're working hard, and we're turning these cars out as fast as we can.
Well,
they're selling like hotcakes.
Because you're getting record profits because they're not paying you.
Well, you're getting over sticker. The first time ever, you're getting over sticker for every vehicle you sell as well.
Plus, everybody, they're selling them for over sticker.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you,
what did Fain say? Labor costs are like 6 to 8% of the price of the vehicle. Yet over the last 4 years, the price of vehicles have gone up 20%. So labor costs haven't changed in 4 years, but the price of the car has. I think you can afford to give us, what we're demanding.
okay, so I wanted to ask you an interesting question about, so I had heard about the 4-day work week. So explain, because I had heard this different ways, and one way was that they were claiming you guys wanted to work 4 days and get paid 5, which I don't think that sounded right, but it sounds like you guys want to go
that too. It was 32-hour work week, but we get paid for 40. And I don't know. I don't know if they were serious, or if that was meant to be a throwaway in the negotiations. I know he definitely talked about it a lot. I'll just say this, and I'm not talking for everybody, but I come to work for money, and I get paid by the hour. And so if I get a good raise, I'd still want to work as much as I can, especially if we're getting a raise. Now, I'm not going to say that, hey, if they gave us 40 hours for 32 hours of work, I'm not an idiot. That's a great deal. But, some of the stuff, we know we're not going to get everything we ask. So that's my 2 cents on it.
No, what was interesting, though, is if you think about historically, we talk about how basically Ford and the unions gave us the 5-day work week, depending on who you listen to on that. But we used to have 7-day work weeks. Now we have a 5-day work week because of the union, and Henry Ford got a little credit for that. You guys are now pushing for a 4-day work week. I wonder if you guys were to get that, will that be a catalyst to push for the rest of the country to get a 4-day work week?
Yeah, 4-day work week. Well, you know what? If you get it all done, come on.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the big
and that's the thing, I'm worried. Well, you know what? We got 3 shifts here. So I do 4 10s. I already work 4 days a week, and we got 3 shifts, and this plant's running night and day all through the week, all through the year, except for maybe holidays. But, again, even another concern I wanted to mention, not to change topics, is, automation. There's a lot more robots that keep popping up, and the technology and everything. And so they can make cars faster and with less people. So, it almost should make sense. I'm not against technology. I'm not a Leadbite or whatever the term is that they use. I like technology, but, we're going to make so much, and then we're going to put so many people out of work. There needs to be a controlled approach at doing this. Even Elon Musk said, hey, we could automate everything right now, and it's not a good idea. We can't just put all these people on the streets. So there needs to be, a reasoned approach, a logical approach, so that we don't hurt the economy and hurt families too quickly with what's coming down the pipe.
I make fun of the robot welders all the time on the show, and Chuck gets mad at me. I said
The glue and the welders and
our welders should be union trained, certified welders that care about the work they do. It should not be a robot that could care less.
I want to tell you a quick quote. I heard this on a union podcast, so I'm assuming it's real, but I couldn't tell you where to look. It was, I believe it was Henry Ford Jr. or one of the younger Fords. This is like in the 50s. He's walking down the mainline assembly plant, and he turns to the union chairman and says, "Aren't you worried about getting these robots to pay your union dues?" And the union chairman turns to him and says, "No, I'm not worried." And he says, "Well, why aren't you worried?" He says, "Because you need to be worried about how are these robots going to buy your vehicle? Because if no one's got work, and so I mean that's the fact."
That's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got to go. You guys got work to do. So we're talking to Robert Ketcher from UAW 551.
Thank you for giving us time and giving us this airspace. 551 really appreciates it, and thank you.
Absolutely.
Anytime you call the car guy, you can talk to us anytime you want.
Once this is all done and over with, we want to have you on for a whole show. We can talk EVs, talk all this
and
fun
give
stuff.
me Sean Fain.
All right.
I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
George is trying to get Elon in here. We'll get Elon and Sean in here someday. Whatever I'm sure that would be.
Oh, that would be a good interview. I want to be there for that.
I thank you.
Okay, you guys have.
All right. God bless. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Good luck tonight.
Yep. All right.